that I am. Thou hast been favorable unto the land, thy land. Thou hast brought back the captivity of Jacob. Thou hast forgiven the iniquity of thy people and hast covered all their sin, Selah. Thou hast taken away all thy wrath and have turned thyself from the fierceness of thine anger. Turn us, O Sanini Nanini, our salvation, and cause thine anger toward us to cease. Wilt thou be angry with us forever? Wilt thou draw out thine anger to all generations? Wilt thou not revive us again, that thy people may rejoice in thee? Show us thy mercy, O Yahuwah, and grant us thy salvation. I will hear what the I Am will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people and his saints, or his anointed. But let them not turn again to folly. Surely his salvation is near them, or nigh them that fear him, that glory may dwell in our land. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Yea, the I Am shall give that which is good, and our land shall yield her increase. Righteousness shall go before him, and set us in the way of his steps. Psalms chapter 85. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits, who have swayed the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me in my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20, a prayer of Abraham. Yes, we'll give God the glory and the praise. Yes, God will revive, the children of Jacob again. Hallelujah. We thank God for his mercy. Yes, even so, he will restore Jacob unto his land, which is in turmoil and war in this time and day and time. Yes, which has two entities fighting each other, both of them colonizers in their own way. Yes, one stealing the identity and the other just occupying the land, just as the Canaanites did when they were there, whom are the children of Ham, who was warned even by Ham himself not to occupy that land, but he did it anyway. But yes, God will show us mercy. Yes, and we will be victorious, and that land will yield good increase. Although it looks like desert, the desert was gradually setting in on the psalmist at this time. I mean, it was yielding, but it wasn't yielding what it yielded when they first came out of the wilderness, from across the Jordan coming north. No, it didn't yield as much as it did then, because when they went there was trees and fruit and everything. Even if you go to where they claim that Israel, or should I say the temple is in South Africa, that's still desert. So you got to come better than that, cuz. You say the place where they took stones, I believed that at one time. The place that they took stones and took them to Israel to make that wall, they might have done that, who knows? But the fact is that was in Israel. And they pray upon the wall to set up a facade. In other words, there's two Jerusalems in Jerusalem. There's the Jebus, the city of David, and then there's a Jerusalem that was in that land that was, according to the book of Jasher, the land of the king of Jerusalem. See, we don't understand that. Many of us, that's one of the reasons why they didn't claim that book. So you have to realize these entities that have jurisdiction over these writings, that have got them through wars, and they have piggybacked on their armies and their military might to ramshack and loot Egypt and loot Israel and loot the temples, even back in ancient times. And you have to realize, you have to understand what makes sense in the narrative of what is written. Even if you read the Egyptian documents and historical documents. If it don't make sense, apparently it's a lie. If it's not according to the doings of the people, it's a lie. And you have to season yourself. In other words, being sensitive to falsehood. Yes, but nevertheless, we're in the 8th chapter of this book of 2 Kings. And also, Happy New Month. Happy New Month. No, it will not be the new year, not by God, not by the celestial calendar, not by the natural calendar, not by God's calendar. This is by the Greco-Roman calendar, the Greco-Roman rays. Whoever you want to call Greco-Roman is still Greco-Roman. Yes, it's still a pagan calendar. Either way it goes. But to do your due diligence at this time, to find out when is the new year. Some of you might be new to becoming or to who you are, and you want to please the Most High, the God of your ancestors. Do your due diligence. Search out Sabbaths. Search out the new year. Search out the 3 seasons in the year. Well, it's going to begin with the Passover. Let's say you start with the Passover. It's around the month of March and April. Do your due diligence. I can tell you all day when this day is, but I can point you in the right direction, and you have to do that study yourself. Because God has given you to be a man and a woman, to be responsible, and how they say, should you be responsible for your ways and accountable, yes, accountable to God. Not for your wickedness, no. Some people are accountable to, oh, God knows. He knows my, get out of here. You start that before that thought gets embedded in your heart. When it gets embedded in your heart, when lust is conceived, it brings forth sin. When sin is finished, it brings forth death. That is a true saying. Yes, very true. It's not said in that format as far as the Old Testament, but as far as that saying itself is culminated from the Old Testament by analyzing how different people fail in the temptation of Eve, and how the Satans have caused her to even cause the fall of all mankind, even through Adam. But the fact is, accountability to God. In other words, you are a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're accountable. Even if you find out you're just a Shemite, you're not an Israelite. Even if you find out you're just a Japhite, you're still accountable. And that the Sabbath belongs to all, especially to those of Jacob. He knows the other ones are led astray, so he didn't bother with those. But if you read throughout the books of Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher, you're going to find out. You find especially Jasher. Jasher has been ridiculed and pushed aside even by the Ethiopians. It's not in their books. But yet this book is so powerful, and many of the things in Jasher has been quoted throughout the Old Testament, but yet it's in an incognito way. But nevertheless, we're in the book of 2 Kings. 2 Kings and chapter 8 as you prepare. Yes, and we thank God for how each day, I see God moving. Each day, through the political and through wars and through all these things that have culminated to a certain point, to how he's going to deliver Jacob. And eventually Jacob is going to be separated from the Hamitic kings, from the Hamitic and Shemitic, and he's going to be separated from the other nations and those strangers that would join Jacob or Israel, the true Israel. I ain't talking about fake Israel, I'm talking about true Israel. They're going to join them, and they're going to be wanting to do, they're going to be yearning for the Levitical priesthood, yearning for the sacrifices that God loves, the sacrifice to give to God, even the life of these innocent animals. Yes, God doesn't sacrifice human beings. This is what null and voids that whole testament. God doesn't do that. People become martyrs. He says precious is the death, is precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his anointed. We're still in the ministry of Elisha during this time of 2 Kings chapter 8. Yes, still in the ministry of Elijah. And then spake Elijah unto the woman whose son he had restored to life, saying, Arise and go in thy household and sojourn whatsoever thou canst sojourn. For the I am is called for a famine. And it shall also come upon the land 7 years. Famine. Famine. See, even if we had a famine here in the United States, what would happen? The rich will already have well stocked their bunkers and everything with food. The government officials, the high government officials, and those people that they deem they count. Yes. And even those that are well-to-do, that have money, that are preppers, they would have stocked their... But you can't, if he says 7 years... In other words, if you foresee a famine in this land and it's going to last years, it's time for you to leave. Us to leave. If God warns of famine in this land of the United States, it's time to leave. For those of you that can leave, leave. Because of the fact there will be nothing here. 7 years is not enough time. 7 years, nothing will grow. Your gasoline, your gold will do you no good in the 7 years. Then if you put up on top of those things, what? Tariffs and all these other things. It's going to cost too much money to import food into the country. Too much money. The land will go down. I mean, the stench, things would happen. I mean, people just gonna give up. You think you stop all the services in these poor neighborhoods, even the rich neighborhoods gonna look like the poor neighborhoods. Come on here. In other words, they could stop the poor neighborhoods from having all the garbage and all the degradation. They could stop all the homelessness of those who make good money, but they refuse to. There's an agenda ahead. Only thing I can say is that if you have to leave, if you foresee that there's a long, first it will start in depression, then famine, because all the reserves will be eaten up. All the rock caves that some of you who are truck drivers know what I'm talking about. You go and they store food, the private companies store food there. That reserve will be eaten up. And then they can set their prices at whatever price they want to enrich themselves. Famine. And it should also come to pass upon the land 7 years. And the woman arose and did after the saying of the man of the I am. And she went with her household. She got out of there. Warned. Just like they warned you to get out of debt. Regardless whether they be Christian or not, God speak through anybody. If he's trying to warn those who would try to order their steps aright. To get out of debt. Reduce your debt. Get out of it quickly as you can, and don't go back to it. But some of us, we want to buy all these nice Lambos and all these big high rises or nice elaborate homes that we cannot afford, and struggling. It's eating us up. And after that, the saying of the man of God, she went with her household and sojourned. It was a household. It was her and her boy. And it came to pass at the 7 years, at the end, that the woman returned to the land of the Philistines. And she went forth to cry unto the king for her house and her land. Yes, if you leave and you have property, it probably won't be yours anymore. You're going to have setters and squatters. By some forsaken reason, these people, who probably were well-to-do at one time, finished off their resources. And now they're trying to regrow. And they've moved into your house. So she and the king talked with Gehazi, the servant of the man of the I am, saying, Tell me, I pray thee, all the great things that Elijah hath done. And it came to pass as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life. Didn't Jesus do that too? I mean, is he the only one that did it? Okay. And he says, and behold, the woman whose son who he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. Gehazi said, O king, this is the woman and this is her son whom Elijah restored to life. In other words, there was testimony. Wasn't there a testimony when one of the lepers, or should I say the son of the blind woman, went before and had to testify before these people who were religious idiots? They didn't believe God and follow God, and the miracles never stopped. It's just righteousness stopped. And this is what God would have to, before God comes, there have to be righteousness in the land. Before the Most High established his kingdom on earth, there has to be righteousness, which he can come and just absorb the fruit of that righteousness. Something about the Spirit of the Most High and us obeying what we have agreed with to him, our commitment to God, or should I say, his commandments. Now, and the king asked the woman, she sold him. So the king appointed unto her certain officers, saying, restore all that was hers, and all the fruit of the field since the day that she left the land, even until now. And Elijah came to Damascus. So we see here that we know that Gehazi was the one who was, because of his wickedness, he was given the disease of the king's aid, or whatever you want to call it, Naaman. Leprosy. He's given leprosy. And then next thing you know, here he comes. And so the king appointed unto her certain officers, saying, restore all that was hers, and all the fruits of the field since that day she left the land, even until now. And Elisha came to Damascus, and Benhadad, the king of Syria, was sick, and he's still living now. And it was told him, saying, the man of the I Am is come hither. And the king said unto Hazael, take a present into thy hand, and go meet the man of the I Am, and inquire of the I Am by him, saying, shall I recover of this disease? So Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him, even of every good thing of Damascus. 40 camels burdened came and stood before him. I mean, woo, what preacher was, oh, I'm rich now. Yeah, the Lord has been good. It's like you had certain preachers. God give them, they allow themselves to get jets and stuff because the rich want to go to heaven. They want to go to the sky. Really, heaven would mean another realm, my friend. The heaven that you're dealing with in English means that the sky. To go, what you would view with your eyes would be the sky. Now, a person that would be in the spirit would view another thing. And Elijah said unto him, go say unto him, thou mayest certainly recover. Howbeit the I Am hath showed me that thou shalt surely die. In other words, God said, yeah, I'm going to heal you just to die. Does it matter? Even in the times of war, times of fleeing, and times of calamity, you can run, but what are you running to? You're running to preserve your life. Is it your life? Maybe it's the life of your young ones, if you have them. Or maybe your spouse, maybe your brother or your sister, somebody succeeds you. To run. Where are you running? What was the instructions of the Most High? Do you know where you're running to? Do you know if that area was contaminated, bombarded, or war-stricken, or whatever? Do you know if that area you're running to is just as worse as the area you ran from? This is why we must depend heavily on the Most High. You might have just ran through a chemical field or a nuclear fallout field, and there's nothing that happened to you, and you will not acknowledge the Most High, that He kept you through that. So this is why many of us would die in our sin of unbelief, in our sin of disobeying the commandments, or transgressions against the commandments. Yes. This is what stands today. Those 10 which stem toward, they're just topics. I forgot how you put it, but they're just you would just have a top thing. Adultery can fall under bestiality. It can fall under, should I say, fornication, as they put it. Adultery. Anything outside marriage, not state marriage, but that marriage which is between man and woman, that is family, and everyone acknowledge, even the Most High. A license means nothing. But you know what consummates a marriage? Sex. And this is where the fornication comes in. It's still under adultery. Do your due diligence. Take each topic of the 10 Commandments. Go throughout the Bible and take everything you find and put it under, like, say, for instance, lying. You have conspiracy, you have, should I say, extortion. Yes, theft. What else does God have under that? That was an example that he talked about in the laws. See, people don't get it. You don't get it. This is the government. You noticed how the government here may have one line that says that you will not speed above 65, but yet he has a stipulation. Okay, as long as it's not 10 miles per hour over 65. Because people will push the limit, period. Majority of people will push the limit. No, they're going, I'm going to go too. Yes. But the fact is that all those that pertain to lying or that are similar to lying, just write down a list. Nobody has to do this for you. This is how you be accountable to God, and that you're going to do what you're determined to do what God says. Let's continue. In other words, make yourself a list. Do your studies. Take the 10 Commandments. Study the laws. What law is there that if I marry 2 or 3 wives, maybe I give my second wife, my firstborn son of my second wife, all that take the inheritance from the second wife. So or if I divorce a wife, but I had a son with her, and I give the second wife to the other wife, I give the gift to him, or leave my wealth to him when I left it to my firstborn. That's sin before the Most High. He said, you shall not do this thing. Now see, this is where you're going to have to read and study and know the law. The United States and all these other countries will not teach the children the laws. Because if they teach the children the laws, then it would be kind of hard for police to stop you at a stop. Because the child going to look up and say, well, stopped you such and such and such and such and such. The child will be a lawyer before he gets to 6th grade. If you teach them medical terminologies and all these other things, then the doctors or those in the pharmaceuticals and stuff like that will look at him and say, oh, he's not going to take that medicine, it's going to cause him to die. So on and so forth. But basically the laws, health, our children has a lot to learn, because our political system thrives on our ignorance. Same thing with Satan's. They thrive on our ignorance of the laws of the Most High. It ain't all about the sacrifices and all of this. That hasn't left. It shall be restored, because God shall cleanse the sons of Levi and cause them to come forth. Even today, some call themselves Levi. They don't know who the heck they are. Please. But God has a time and he has a season for everything. Now, he says, and, I can talk. But so, Hazael went to meet him and took a present with him, even very good thing. And Elijah said unto him, go say unto him, thou mayest certainly recover, but you shall surely die. Excuse me. And he settled his countenance steadfastly until he was ashamed. And the man of God wept. And Hazael say, why weepeth my prophet? And he answered, because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Israel. The same thing in 1948. There were still children of Israel in that land around that area. There were still children of Shem around all the area of Yemen and all the other, but they were done away with, pushed aside, called Hudar, even Mecca. These was the lands of Shem. But something came down from them. This was of the I am. He says, I know that the evil that thou wilt do unto the children, and their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, their young men wilt thou slay with the sword. Even when the children of Israel went to Africa to weep, to know how the Hamites would treat them and how they had to concoct communities and set themselves apart from those who were Hamites and of other nations, because they fled. Yes, some of them fled with just nothing on their backs, or barely, and their clothes melted off of them. And you say, why is these people in rags and all of this? Because they were running. They had no steadfast place to grow corn or to grow cotton, to skin. If anything, they could skin any animal that they could have. No, not sorrowful, but because of sin. And you ask, why are we still under the law? Why are we still under this curse? You're not under curse. The curse, you bring the curse upon you. Let's get this, call this a buck. You bring the curse because of your what? Transgressions against the law. Statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High. This, you curse yourself, because your grandsisters have agreed. And as long as you continue to do the things that we do, if you're still doing them, that curse will follow you, your seed, and everything until somebody breaks it in your family, in your community, in your nation. It starts with you first. Now, it says, and Hazael said, but what is thy servant, a dog, that he should do this great thing? And Elijah answered, the I am showed me that thou shalt be king over Syria. Woo! See, Syria had a lot to do with things. So he departed from Elisha and came to his master, who said to him, what said Elisha to thee? And he answered, he told me that thou shouldest recover. And it came to pass on the morrow that he took a thick cloth and dipped it in water and spread it on his face, so that he died, and Hazael reigned in his stead. He took a thick cloth. Would this be water? Did he waterboard himself? Is this where they got waterboarding from? Or the idea of waterboarding? Or boarding? Come on, yeah. A lot of things come from the Bible that men do today. He waterboarded himself. And Hazael reigned in his stead. And in the 5th year of Joram the son of Arab, king of Israel, Jehoshaphat being the king of Judah, Yasharal, Joram the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. 32 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Yasharal, Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, and did as the house of Ahab, for the daughter of Ahab his wife did evil in the sight. Oh, he had another Jezebel. In other words, she stirred up mess. This is the general thing of her. She stirred up mess to please those in authority. Namely, with Jezebel was her husband, so that he would give her what she wanted, or allow her to do as she would. And men can act the same way. Don't get it backwards. It's not just women. But let's see. Yet the I am would not destroy Judah for David his servant's sake, as he promised to give him always a light to his children. And in his days, but God's going to change that. But in his days, Edom revolted under the hand of Judah and made a king over themselves. So, the yoke, in other words, Jacob put a yoke over Esau's neck. And Esau broke that yoke again because they rode it. In and out Esau was as far as Jacob and Esau. So Joram went over Zaire and all the chariots with him, and he rose by night and smote the Edomites, which compassed him about. And the captains of the chariots and the people fled into their tents. Yet Edom revolted under the land of Judah unto this day. Then Libnah revolted at the same time. And the rest of the acts of Joram and all the kings that he did, are they not written in the books of Chronicles of kings, of the kings of Judah? Or Judah? And Joram slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And now as Ahaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. In the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab the king, did Ahaziah, the son of Joram, king of Judah, began to reign. In other words, David, ever since that time, he really destroyed, even more so than even Saul. He's caused the destruction of Israel, period, as a whole, to the point of the split. It was already on a downward spiral. God gave him his desire too. Yes, he did. He gave him his desire. Even that Hittite woman and her son, the son that he had seed that took on his ways and caused the split of Israel. He could have chosen any other woman or asked God for any other of his wives whom the DNA would have been better. But God chose Solomon, and he did it for a reason. Yes, and this reason is evident as we are looking here. And he went to Jordan, the son of Ahab, to war against Ahaz, the king of Syria, in Ramoth Gilead. And the Syrians wounded Joram, and the king Joram went back and to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Syrians had given him in Ramah, when he fought against Hazael, the king of Syria. And Ahaziah, the son of Joram, king of Judah, went down to see Joram, the son of Ahab, in Jezreel, because he was sick. Oh, that was so nice. But the fact is that we're talking about the wars never stopped until the exiled. Then another group of people come into the land of Israel and occupied it. We're going to see that in the Word of the Lord before even the New Testament was even thought of, before even it was even concocted. God already said these things. Yes, he already showed these things. Now you can go to the book of Daniel, but even that has been corrupted to a certain point. We're going to cover that when we get to it, yes. But for now, commandments, statutes, ordinances, and laws of the Most High, they mean a lot. And with that, peace.
Walk with me.